Oh, hey everybody. I wanted to share with you some additional tips about how to deal with Project One. Um, the first layout I have here, we covered in another video. This is the symbol is the primary element. And I wanted to create another layout where the display copy is the primary element and where the body, where the body copy is the primary element. So those are three different categories. I'm going to work on the category where the body copy is the primary element. But first I need to create another page for that. I could create a new InDesign document, but I'm already here, so why not go ahead and create a new page? When I clicked on this Create New Page icon, you can see that this page came up. Now, if I double click on page 1, you can see that that's the design I have there. Double click on page 2, there's nothing. If I hit the W key, it'll be void of any grids or guides. But if I scroll up, you can see the previous page. Okay, I hit W again, and there we go. Now instead of reinventing the wheel, I'm going to copy and paste from one layout to another the things that I might need. So I hit Command C on a Mac, Control C on a PC, and I'm going to paste, which is Command V on a Mac, Control V on a PC. Now, a few things we need to talk about as far as body copy. One, body copy definitely is something that we use the grid for a lot. And so what I did is I pulled these anchor points to snap right to that grid. Now this may be problematic in that this line length is a little too long. When somebody goes to read this, they may lose their place and they may read the same line over again. So this line length is a bit too long. I might break this down into 2 columns. To do that quickly, and if you don't mind having this all in one kind of area, here on the control panel, there is the number of columns option. So I can tell that to make it 2 columns. You'll see it conforms to the grid with a 1 pica gutter. I can pull up on the anchor point at the bottom, and I can make this, try to clothesline this a little bit. I have a problem though. I don't want to have widowed text. You don't want an excessively short line of a paragraph down here or up there, so that's not too bad. But I do have this white space to contend with. If you want a little bit more control, like you want to be able to move a column around, say separate from this column, you don't want to do it this way. You want to go ahead and bring it back to 1 column, and you can manually drag your copy blocks to be so wide, as wide as you want them. I'm going to have that new paragraph start on another column. And here, this little red plus sign, it indicates that there's more text within the story. So I click on that little red plus sign. I can then click and drag and draw another text box and position it where I want it. I'm clotheslining the text right now. That means that the tops are aligned. How much more text do I have? Let me pull down. Okay, so I might go ahead and pull this up to the beginning of that next paragraph so it flows into another box. Right now it's gone. It's just saying that there's more text. So I click on that plus sign again, draw another box, text box, and there we go. As long as there's no red plus sign, that means there's no more text. So this is not necessarily the most creative way to deal with text, but it certainly does help you in that you can break it down into separate columns, and it helps you with the text flow. The text flow is that red box that when we had clicked on it, we redrew. But this just basically says that this text is flowing to another column now. There's no red box. It has an arrow. All right, so that's not the most creative thing, but it's something you might need. I'm going to take this text. I'm going to move it off to the side. Now, some of you have taken an interest, at least in your sketches, you've taken an interest in maybe putting text on a path. So I want to share with you how to do that. First, there needs to be some sort of shape or path that you say it's a circle or something. You can turn about any kind of shape into a path and put text along it. It doesn't make sense to do real complicated shapes, so we'll keep it simple. Let's say we just wanted some text to go around the edge of this whole area. To create a path, I'm going to go ahead and use the pen tool. And I'm going to start by clicking, that's an anchor point. I hold down the Shift key and I come over to where I want the next anchor point to be, and I click. I still have the Shift key to press. This keeps everything in perfect alignment and keeps it straight. Okay. Now just filling this with a color. So let me come over here to the little swatch here. I'm going to say fill of none, and I'm going to put stroke of none. You don't want your type to be underlined. I'm going to come back to this point, pick up where I left off, hold down the Shift key, and even though I clicked up here, because I hold the Shift key down, it stays straight. So I'm just kind of clicking around, making some sort of spiral, let's say. Now this doesn't always make sense to do something like this. It's just I've had some students who have a desire to do it. And it can get a bit annoying with a lot of body copy to have it spiraled like that. Okay, now by default in your tools panel you'll have your type tool that looks like this, just a big T. And what we want to do is we want to turn this path into a type path, this path right here. So we want to click and hold on the type tool, and we want to choose type on path tool. If you use this a lot, it's Shift T. So you see that that's changed. Now when I float my cursor over this path, now the path has to be selected, and it is. If I click on that path, it now becomes something I can put type on. Okay? I'm going to hit delete and get rid of that type, but there's the cursor. Now I could come over here and select all this type, come back to the path, try to find that path. Sometimes you have to click on the white arrow tool, there it is, to select that path. Make sure I'm on that path, and I can paste that text. Oops. Gosh darn it. Seems to be pasting in its own box. So let me just try to type there. Okay, see I'm typing, nothing's happening. So make sure I'm on there. This is a little tricky, isn't it? There we go. Now I'm going to hit the space bar and I'm going to paste that text. Now here's the problem. It's not pasting the text along the path. It's actually pasting an entire type box. So let me do a select all, Command A, copy, which is Command C, and then I'll paste it in there. Okay, there we go. So it's not the most easiest thing. Now I'm going to get rid of this early mess up text I have here. And you're wondering, where is all the rest of the text? And plus we have this plus sign again. I'm going to zoom in, and let me go ahead and make this not have a stroke. I'm not sure what happened there. So I'm going to click on this and say, hey, no black stroke. There we go. Type shouldn't have a black line underneath it. I'm going to grab the type on path tool. And this gets a little tricky to try to get in there sometimes, but I'm going to get rid of the paragraph return. When you have paragraph returns, the type will disappear on you. Okay? So this is a little bit problematic, but we can solve this problem. How we solve the problem is we put the cursor in there. You have arrow keys on your keyboard, up, down, left, and right. Well, technically this would actually be going right of the text if it weren't wrapping, so we're going to use the right arrow button. I'm going to click on it once, and then I'm going to hit the delete key. So what it did is it forwarded, it went into the next character, even though it's an invisible character, which was the return key, and then I hit delete, so I deleted the return, and then I hit the spacebar. Okay? I can also put some sort of indicator that, hey, this is a new paragraph. And how I did that, I just hit Option and 8 on a Mac, and that puts a bullet point in there. You could also use other flourishes, fleurons, or other typographic tools. Now this still is giving me a problem in that I have multiple paragraphs in my text. So I'm going to put my cursor along the edge of this type. I'm going to use the arrow. Again, this arrow, 4 arrows usually are found in the lower right hand corner of your keyboard. I'm using the right arrow button. I'm arrowing forward of this text, which goes just past the paragraph mark, and I hit delete. So I'm deleting the paragraph return. Hit spacebar, Option 8, spacebar again, and that tells people, hey, that's the end of a paragraph, beginning of a new paragraph. Now let's see what we have. we keep having this issue, so we just have to keep dealing with it. I use my cursor, I pop it in there. Again, I'm still, even though you're arrowing to the left, it recognizes this as the next character. So the next character, if it were set normally, would be to the right. So I'm going to use the right arrow key again, click on it once, hit the delete key, click on it again, hit the delete key. There might have been a double space bar or something. Nothing was showing, so I did it again. Then I hit space bar, option 8, space bar. Again, this indicates a new paragraph. Hit Command 0. That's how I'm zooming out so quickly. Okay, so let's assume this is all the body copy. My body copy is too long anyway. But now I have a situation where I'm being creative with body copy in that I am putting it around the border of my piece. Let me hit the W key, and you can see what that's doing. And you can always alter this position of this copy by clicking on these anchor points. So if I were to move this anchor point, you can see that the copy moves. If you want 2 anchor points to move at once, click on one anchor point, hold down the Shift key, click on another, let off the Shift key, and you can actually move those together. Okay, so you can alter the position of these anchor points. So this, maybe I want to become a little tighter that. If I just click and drag on this one, it's going to be crooked. So I have to hold down the Shift key and click on the other anchor point, and then I can move them both. Now if I hold the Shift key down, it will keep it from going angling. So hold the Shift key down and it will try to keep it straight. Okay? Now this doesn't look all that great because I haven't spent much time on it, but I did want to share that technique with you. So that is a type on a path. We can also do other shapes. Let me move this off to the pasteboard. And let's say I have a shape of a hand. Let's grab this hand. I'm copying it, and I'm pasting it here in this window. Let me hit Command 0. There we go. And there we go. We pasted it. So let's say I want to type to go around this path. First, I need to detect the path, or draw a path that is like this. Let me move this down because the text needs to not be too crowded to the edge. I can see if InDesign can detect the edges. So let me go to Object. Let me see if it has a way to find the edges, possibly with clipping path. So let me go to Option, and where it says Detect the Edges, I'm going to preview this. There we go. That is detecting the edges. Now, on the previous video, I had modified this, and it has a text wrap on it. So I'm going to take the text wrap off. But I'm fairly happy with that path. If I wanted to, I could adjust the tolerance. Higher tolerance means fewer anchor points. I'm going to go to Window, Text Wrap, and I'm going to make that none. Okay, so we'll see if this path will actually be able to be something we can use as a text path. The only problem is this is filled with a color, and I may not want that. So I don't know if I can release this from there. Let's see if I can. Object. See if I have a release. That's reverse path. Yeah, there's not a whole lot you can do here. I can convert the clipping path to a frame. That is really nice. There we go. And then use with the Y arrow tool, I think I can click on the picture and delete it. So now I have a frame. So I don't have to work so hard. I didn't have to manually draw that with the pen tool. Now, to be able to put type along this path, let me hit the W key and you'll see that it does not print. Okay, it's there, but it doesn't print. I'm going to grab the Type on Path tool, and I'm going to wait for this plus sign, and I'm going to click on that, where I want the type to start. And you can see, oops, let's see, it's typing backwards. That's not always good. You know why it's typing backwards and mirrored is because I mirrored this piece in InDesign. This has been a mirrored thing right here. Now if I click back this way, it will not be mirrored. So you have to be careful. If you've mirrored objects, which I had done in a previous demonstration, I flipped that guy, it will flip your type to read backwards. So now it's reading right reading. Okay? So if that's the case, you may have to draw this hand yourself. if you want it the other way. And I did. I wanted it this way. So let me hit Command Z a few times. There we go. Bring that hand back in. This path is worthless to me. That's unfortunate. So I'm just going to draw my own because I don't want my type to be flipping everywhere. And I'm going to use the pen tool, and wherever your beginning point is where the type is going to start to read. So you guys have to be really conscientious of how we read. So maybe I start down here and work my way around. So I'm going to zoom in to this area, and I'm using the pen tool. And this is a layer. It's going to be a separate shape. So even though I click here, it's not affecting the shape at all. So this is my starting point. And I'm going to click and drag for a curve. Okay. These things that I'm flipping around, those are called directional lines. I don't pay a whole lot of attention to those. What I pay attention to is underneath the directional line is the actual curve that it's creating. Okay. That's the part that counts. So I watch and I'm trying to get that to conform to the shape that's drawn, or that's there already, this hand shape. The cool thing is it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to look like a hand. So I'm just kind of trying to keep it along the edges of this. And like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect, because as long as people go, oh, that looks like a hand, and it's not too funky, doesn't start to look like something kind of alien, I should be okay. So this is using the pen tool. This takes some practice. Again, I'm looking behind where I am, not, like I'm looking behind where I am, looking at that curve up there, at that fingertip. I'm looking at that. I'm not looking at these straight lines, these directional lines. Hardly even looking at those. Okay. You can notice where I see kind of a curve, I go about halfway between, I kind of click at an anchor point about halfway between that curve. Okay, let's move up a little bit, and we will keep on going. Now, I make this look easy because I've been using this tool for a long time. So when you're using this tool for the first time, it can be a little difficult. What you don't want to do is you don't want to do this to draw. Okay, you want to actually go for smooth lines. So you won't see me do that unless it's something that actually the contour looks like that. Okay, now I'm not going to close this path and make a shape because I want the type to begin and end somewhere. So it's going to begin over here, it's going to go around the hand, and it's going to end on this other side. I'm going to hit Command 0. I'm going to delete my hand image, and I'm going to, I'll leave the underline on this for now just so I can see it, because it seems a little difficult to see without it. I'm going to grab my Type on Path tool, and I'm going to turn this path, see the plus sign? I'm going to turn that path into an actual type path. I come over here, I select the text, I copy it. That was Command A to select all, Command C to copy, and then Command V to paste. Now you see that there's absolutely nothing showing up. The problem is, again, we have these returns, and hard returns or new paragraphs don't work very well for this. Let me hit Command 0. I'm getting a little lost. So I could come over here to this copy and select all of it and copy it. Come over here and paste it. Because these have no paragraph returns, I'm not having a problem with seeing the text. Now, regarding this shape, you do not want, let me hit the W key, you do not want your type to have a line underneath it. That looks really bad. So with the shape selected with the selection tool, bring the stroke to the front, usually the fill is in the front, bring the stroke to the front and say, hey, I want no stroke. Now you can actually read the type much better. And the type is in the shape of a hand. So that could be interesting. We do have some problems though where the curve, where it gets tight, you have stuff like this happening. So that can be very problematic in readability. So in that case, I may try to tighten some things up here. I'm like, this is pretty loose. Let me tighten these words up. So I'm going to go into my character formatting control, and I might do a little tracking there. Okay, because those are pretty wide. Now that's tracking. That adjusts the space equally between all the characters. Kerning, on the other hand, is a fine-tune adjustment between two characters. So what I've done here is I'm just hitting the space bar to try to get that out of there. Now I've got this here. So I'm going to hit the space bar and see if I can get this to read a little bit better. That's not so bad there, but you really have to watch how these tighter spaces really mess with type. So there's type on a path, which can be pretty cool. It is not the easiest thing to work on, but it looks good. I'll hit the W. Whoops. If you hit the W key while you're in the type box, it'll type a W, so be careful about that. Now I hit the W key, and there we go. The last thing I'm going to show you here is type in a shape. Type in a shape. Now, the hand shape is not a good shape for type to go into. At least, no, really not. What I'm thinking about is this type will end up being in this shape. You'll see lines of type here. But what will happen is if the type starts here, or if even it starts up here, it'll fill in the shape, and it'll skip. It may or may not skip over. It gets really weird. So I'm going to use a much more simpler shape. So to draw the shape, let's just do something simple like a circle. So I'm using the ellipse tool, which is found underneath the rectangle tool. Okay, this is a simple shape. So if I were to draw an ellipse, I can convert this shape to a type box. I'm going to click and hold. I want to get off of the type on path tool. This isn't a type on a path, this is a type in a shape. So I'm going to grab my type tool. As soon as I click on that, you'll see that I can type inside of that shape. Okay, so I'm going to copy all of this and paste it in here. Now I'm going to take off the stroke, but before I do, let me show you what I mean. Okay, this has the stroke around it, and it really makes the type look claustrophobic. It's going right to the edges. So you want to click on this shape and tell it, hey, your stroke should be none. And the type no longer looks claustrophobic. So that's type inside of a shape. Now, the more complicated the shape, usually the less success you'll have with this. In other words, if you wanted to draw, I'll just use this hand shape. Let me see if I can copy that. This is the nice thing about having a pasteboard is you have all this stuff out here and you can rely on it. So let me copy that. I'm going to get all of this type off of here. Delete that. Oops, there's so much type I need to select all. And I still have that shape. Okay, you can't see it though. There we go. Now I need to see, one of the things I need to do is close this shape up. So right now it's open because I had type on the path. So I'm going to use the pen tool. I'm going to close this shape. There we go. It is now a fully closed shape. So I'm going to take this object and I want it to have contents inside the object. So I go to Object, Content, and make it a text object. Okay? So I can put text inside of it. So I'm grabbing my type tool. I should be able to click on it, and it will automatically click wherever it wants to. So I could click over here. It doesn't matter. So you can see already I'm having some challenges. It automatically wants to put text up in that corner. I'm going to select all the text that I have, copy it, and I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to paste it in there. You can see clearly that that does not work. When I hit the W key, that does not look like a hand. So it's too complicated of a shape. What happens is it starts at one place, comes over to another area, another digit, starts the new line, this word is too long for this space right here. Let me show you that space right there. So it automatically goes down to there, to this finger, because that space is wider. And finally, when it gets a word that it feels like it can fit in there, you would think of would fit in there, but it really does some weird things. So we're not used to reading, to skipping across columns and reading text. So you can't really, you know, like you would say, you would read years to them for, not years to, and then you got to figure out where you're at. Development, most of us take them for granted. Yeah, this is not how we read. We read in chunks. So when you have a complicated shape like this, you are limited. You really probably don't want to put text inside of it. So the more simple the shape, the better. And that is not a simple shape. Okay? So there are a few ways to be creative with type. One last thing I'd like to share with you is leading. Let me move all this off to the pasteboard. That's a lot. But I'm going to bring these back. Leading is another way we can be somewhat creative with text type. Okay, so in the book you have some examples where the leading is really wide. The leading is the space between the lines of type. It's that horizontal space. You can adjust leading by going to the characters panel, which is the A, not the backwards P, but the A, and you can widen the leading. See, the type is not getting any bigger. It's the spaces between the type that are getting bigger. So this is really wide leading. Now I'm using the black arrow tool and I'm clicking on this box, this text box, and I am trying to figure out where the paragraph stops and starts, and it's getting kind of crowded, so I'm going to go to that paragraph. Oops, let me pull it off a little bit more. Now in the book you see that they have done something like this, where they have moved copy blocks to share similar space and cross over. And let me pull this down, see how much more text. Oh my goodness, when you put a lot of leading in there, you got a lot more text. So I may have to play around with this some more. Get all this in here. Again, my text is way more than 100 words. So I'm going to just narrow it down to 100 words just quickly, just for demonstration purposes. So I'm going to get that to look like it's about halfway between the beginning, one line and another. And then I'm going to do the same here. So let's assume that this is the end of the story. And I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to move it down and optically make it work. So what we have here is a somewhat creative way of using leading and space. You can economize on the space. So I hit the W key, and there you can see that each column, it does have its own column, but it invades the column before it by crowding into it, and then the lines of type fall where the lines of leading are. But you have to have extra wide leading to be able to do this. So there's another way to be creative with body copy. Okay, I think I'm going to conclude this video, and I think I've shared plenty of ways to be creative with body copy. But certainly if you have any questions, get a hold of me and I'll see if I can do another video for you. Thank you.